guys, what's up? What's up? I am Jules Jessie with Clapback Culture here with my boy Mike Davis in the building. What's up, Mike?
Hey y'all, how y'all doing?
Look, guys, we're twinsies today. Not, we did not plan this. Mike
Gotta
copied.
believe us. No,
He
I
copied.
wore this all day today.
Listen, and then he wouldn't change. Like, who does
I didn't
that?
have time.
Okay.
You're gonna call me out in front of everybody. Okay, see.
Listen, guys, we're gonna have to do a wardrobe check to make sure Mike Davis isn't copying me. Actually, who wore it?
This isn't the first time that Julie has done this to me, y'all. Please understand.
We'll take a vote if you guys just want to drop who looked better in the comments, who wore it best. Do it down below. But look, we have a great show today, Mike. I'm really excited to kind of talk about some of the stuff on the agenda. We're going to be talking about President Joe Biden, and a lot of the stuff that's been going on in government. Man, it's been a busy week. It has been a busy week. Legislators are talking about this COVID plan. They're talking about really a lot of these executive orders on immigration. We're gonna get into that. Of course, we're gonna talk about COVID and the rollout of the vaccine. Gotta touch a little bit on there. Jeff Bezos stepped down from Amazon as the CEO. So let's talk about that. We got a couple other little headlines. Man, big news. Marjorie Taylor Greene has now been stripped from her committee. So we're going to dive into that. And of course, we want to talk about, the CDC's response to teachers, not making it a priority for teachers to go back or get the vaccine before they go back to school and get in these classrooms for in-person learning. So that's huge. And, man, it's going to be a good day. It's a lot. Oh, happy Black History Month, Mike Davis.
Yeah, for real.
More power to the people, brother.
And to everybody in the comments too, man. It's Black History Month. You also make sure you do some extra reading, some extra research, brush up, It's that time of year.
It is. Well, let's get right into it, starting with a couple of our headlines. So President Biden, he signed an immigration order. There's 3 bills that came out of that, and we're going to talk about the vaccine rollout. So we got a clip for you guys, and we'll go ahead and play that.
President Biden signed 3 executive orders Tuesday advancing his immigration reform agenda. The proposals aim to overhaul many of the policies established by former President Trump. The Biden administration also introduced a new bill that would help create a clear path to citizenship.
So big news. So there were 3 executive orders that were signed, one of which is aims to reunite the families that were separated, and then also rebuilding, this working asylum system, and lastly, to restore opportunities for foreign workers and students just, to come back into the country. So this was, a conversation that one of me and my Latino friends was having, and she was pretty fired up that this wasn't in the first round of executive orders. And so I'm really excited to see this full task force kind of being laid out to get families, separated families back together.
I have a question for you.
Okay.
And you went right where I wanted to go because sure, I'd love to be optimistic here. But for me, when I hear that phrase task force, in this type of government setting, a lot of times to me, what that says is this may or may not happen. But if it doesn't happen, you can't blame me, blame the task force. And maybe that's just some scarring that I have, living in Seattle and seeing our local government always throw together task force that never amount to anything. But what's your take on this particular task force? Do you actually think that they're going to be able to get these kids reunited? Because I'm looking at the numbers. There was 3,000 families got separated under Trump's zero tolerance. There were already 1,000 families that had been separated before that. We knew about the 600 families that they talked about during the election. So, this is a lot of families that got separated. And is this task force really going to go and put 4,000 families back together, or is this just talk?
Well, That's a great question. And I think, one thing that we're seeing now in this new administration is that there's actually being some action taken. And so the best thing that we can have is optimism. And so we actually have an administration that is seeking to reunite these families. And so I don't want to put the cart before the horse. This is a necessary thing? We have these kids who are essentially living without their parents. And, do I think it's going to happen? Absolutely. Do I think everybody is going to be found? Likely not. Right. And that's just numbers. But nevertheless, if they're not able to reconnect with their parents or something like that, I'm sure that they're going to find other viable options within family or other, different shelters and other different, housing accommodations to get these kids reunited and out of this system. So I'm optimistic. I'm hopeful. I'm excited to hear that there is a rollout coming. And again, we gotta just be excited about having the opportunity being set place and kind of dismantling this system that Donald Trump put in place to separate these kids in the first place.
You're absolutely right. It is good to see the repeals to the whole zero tolerance plan. So like, no matter what happens, at least we are in a better place now. It's just, it's hard as a parent to have to see the images of kids being reunited with their mothers that they don't even recognize anymore. Like it's mind blowing.
Well, and one of these things is also, the restoration of a program. So outside of just reuniting families, there's a lot more restorative programs that are going to roll out underneath this. So it's good, and they have good leadership kind of running these task forces. So I feel like people are going to hold your boy accountable. So,
my boy. That was my
boy. So we won't spend too long on that. Let's talk about some other things that Joe Biden is doing. So he's pushing for this COVID rescue plan. Yeah. And also there's some conversation on the vaccine rollout. So we do got a clip, and we'll come back and talk about it.
As soon as President Biden was declared the winner of the 2020 election, he assumed the daunting task of steering the federal government's response to the coronavirus pandemic. He also set a target to administer at least 100 million vaccinations in his first 100 days in office. And recently, the president has expressed hopes for an even higher target. But Biden officials say the situation they inherited from the Trump administration is far worse than they expected. And with the fate of the next coronavirus relief package still up in the air, some are questioning whether the Biden administration will be able to hit its vaccination and pandemic goals.
Yeah, man, this is critical. Mike, what are your thoughts?
100 million vaccines in 100 days. That's what he promised. Nothing less. And we need it more now than ever. And we're going to talk about, the schools and reopens and how the teachers are feeling a little bit later. But there's so many implications across our country tied to being able to get people vaccinated efficiently. This isn't the time to be blaming the Trump administration. We know the damage that the Trump administration has done. We see the executive orders trying to reverse that. No excuses. We can't have any excuses now. We have to get this done. It's critical.
Well, Mike, you can't just take the Trump administration off the table. Like, that's absolutely insanity. Like, we have been in this pandemic for about a year now, so you can't take that off the table at all. And in fact, Nikki Barron and I were having a conversation, before the show started about COVID and the vaccine rollout plan, and it's a lot. And so in order to, reach this herd immunity, we have to have enough of the vaccine to vaccinate people to reach that total number. And so it's a goal, and we got to.
Then give us a plan. Like, give us a clearly outlined plan of exactly what you want to do and how you want to do it. And don't leave individual states to make these decisions on their own. We need more federal mandates in this particular situation because we really need to get this done. But we can't have Congress sitting there twiddling their thumbs either. Like the bill needs to be passed, and I can't blame Biden for that particular piece, but I don't want to see him start hedging bets this fast. I don't want to see the backpedal, the blame game this fast. It's still super early in the process. I mean, even for someone like me that's critical of Biden, I'm still not at the point where I'm ready to attack him on this, but do the work, man. You took the job. You knew what this job was before you took it. You knew how bad the last administration screwed up before you threw your hat in the ring. So you want the job, you got the job, do the job.
Okay, people, let me give you some context to Mike Davis's just baseless concerns of President Biden right now. So Nikki is coming through with some information. She is our COVID expert here on Converge Media. So she stated in her blog that the purchase by the Harris administration will increase total available doses to 600 million and approximate 50% increase, enough to fully vaccinate 300 million people. There's an estimated 260 million people in the US who are currently eligible for the vaccine. One thing that I also learned while kind of studying up on this was that they have a new syringe. And so for the Pfizer COVID vaccine. And so that vial originally had 5 doses, but there was some of the vaccine still left. And so they have a new low dose syringe that is going to be sent out to states so that clinics and healthcare workers can pull out that 5th dose, that extra dose, to get more people vaccinated. And so that is ultimately the goal. We are going to give President Biden and the Biden-Harris administration way more time to get this global pandemic under control. We're not going to hold them to the fire, unlike Mike Davis. And, and we're going to continue to do what works, right? And we know what works: wearing a mask, washing our hands, sanitizing surfaces, and social distancing. And so what we need to do is continue to do that while our government figures out the best way to roll this out, because right now we just do not have enough vaccine. And so once we get enough vaccine, I think everything else, is going to roll out. So again, very optimistic about this. Interested to know, anyone, following our show, have you received the vaccine? So give us some feedback on that. I know we want to know about that as well. So, still out, man.
We're going to talk more about this topic later. So, I'm going to hold on.
We will. Well, let's go ahead and chop it up about Jeff Bezos. Okay. And him stepping down from the CEO role and becoming executive chair of Amazon, man. That's big deal. I think Jeff Bezos is the second richest man in the world. I mean, do you really need to be the CEO of a company, or can you just sit back?
That's what I was thinking when I heard this news. At first I was like, oh, he's leaving Amazon. And then I read up and was like, oh no, he's not leaving at all. He's kind of doing what a lot of these billionaires, this is kind of like what you see with Bill Gates. Bill Gates isn't going to go run the day-to-day. He's not going to have to answer to the press. He's not taking your phone call. Nah, he's past that. So I think that's what we're seeing right now with Bezos. He's so above day-to-day operations. Like, he doesn't want to have to show up places and answer phone calls and requests from the media. He doesn't want to do that anymore. So I feel him. I wouldn't.
But what I think is cool too? I think him taking a different position is also because he wants to be in a more innovative, he wants to be in an innovative role. That was too many back. But he's an inventor, and so he came up with Amazon, back in the 90s as a bookstore, and now it's the store for everything, right? And I mean, literally, I buy so much stuff off Amazon, like out of control. Like, do not look at my order history, because
it's so hard to not support them, because so much of me wants to not. But like,
and it'll be here next day. What?
And I don't really like going to the stores anymore if I don't have to. Like,
Yeah, I mean, he single-handedly took out retail.
He did. They cornered that. They cornered that market. So I totally understand why he wouldn't want to be CEO anymore at this point. I think they reported their fourth quarter earnings too. They topped 100 billion. Like, they're going to be fine with or without him as CEO. Yeah. So he might as well take a step back.
Yeah, I'm excited to see, what early innovations he has. I know that he mentioned that in email to employees. So, you don't just come up with Amazon and then just hang your hat up.
Exactly.
You come up with Amazon and then you think it's something else. And so I'm sure there's going to be a lot of cool things to come. So congrats to Jeff Bezos, and happy retirement, brother. If you're retiring, that's not.
What I really hope to see, though, to be honest, like when I hear this news, I mentioned like Bill Gates and what happened when he took a step back from his CEO role. That's when he started all of like the foundations and all of the philanthropy type work that he did once he no longer had to do the day-to-day. So it would be great if Amazon or Bezos specifically, would take this time to actually do some more philanthropic type of work and actually, go help some communities, man. You got time and money on your hands. Why not?
Speaking of time and money, so there was another headline that I came across that of the guy who actually is the richest man in the world, who is a South African native who is behind this commercial flight to space. So we got a clip about that. Let's roll it and then come back.
Elon Musk's SpaceX is going to be flying its first mission to space with an all-civilian crew. It's going to take place later this year. And it, of course, is a major milestone for the space tourism industry. The four-person crew will be led by Jared Isaacman. He's the CEO of payment processing company Who. He's also a pilot. One crew seat is reserved for St. Jude ambassador, and the remaining two will be decided by online competitions. NBC's Tom Costello spoke exclusively to Musk and Isaacman, and Musk described what this mission means to him.
I think, first of all, I think people will really enjoy, seeing things vicariously from the video that is, and the watching the mission. It's like when America went to the moon in '69. It wasn't just a few people. Humanity went to the moon. We all went there with them. And I think it's something similar here. We will all be with Jared on the journey, and we'll be seeing it in real time. And then, as I mentioned earlier, this is going to be an important milestone on the road towards making access to space more affordable.
Bro, I'm not going to space. I'm just like, what?
I would love to go to space, but are you serious? Yes, that would be a dream come true. It's hilarious to me, though, hearing a billionaire call something affordable. Like, I don't think I would ever be able to afford that space flight. But yes, who wouldn't want to go to space?
So I looked on their website, and it's estimated about $1 million to do like a shared shuttle. So you can like Uber into space with your other rich homies. Mike, I'll be honest with you. This is something that I'm going to sit this one out and watch it on YouTube. I'm good off it. I do not want to see Earth like that.
You don't want to find out whether or not the Earth is flat?
I'm good off that. You can tell me, though, when you get up there, I'll vote for you. Since it's going to be done off a bid, like, I'll definitely vote for you. If you guys, you know what? We'll get our dedicated following to.
We might have to, man. I need support. I need support from everyone out there. I want to go to space. I'm about to sign up.
$1 million. I talked about this with a friend of mine, and she was also like, "Girl, I ain't going to space. I just have no desire to do that. None, zero, no desire to go to space."
It's like the ultimate travel destination. It's like nothing on Earth, literally. I would love it. I would love it. I thought about the flight. Have you heard about the 0G flights where they take a plane and they go high in the air and then they just drop it abruptly so that you get the sense of floating? Because I've always wanted to do one of those too.
Oh, I don't even want to go on a roller coaster. Okay?
Oh my God.
I'm not
We're gonna have to take a road trip. We're gonna have to do a clapback culture road trip, and we're gonna film ourselves in zero gravity. That'd be dope.
I just was thinking about like, what does it feel like to be on the space shuttle? Like, can you breathe? Like, do you feel like the wind is being knocked out? Like, what do you feel like when you're leaving the orbit of the Earth and like going out into like, you know, I like to just be lit. I just want to have my feet on the ground, you know, 10 toes down. I just want, you know, call me old school. I don't want to go to the moon. Okay.
I want that adventure. I would take that adventure.
I would love to send you up there just so you'll be a whole new man when you get back. I don't think you can leave Earth and come back and just be.
I don't think so.
I wonder how long that takes too.
That's a good question though. For $1 million, how long do I get to be in space?
Listen, you better have that dough cheese too, because like, how do you put your leave-in request from work to be like, yeah, I'm going on holiday, I'm going to space. That's interesting. I mean, it's cool, you know. Yeah. I don't know. Let's go ahead. What did you say?
They got Wi-Fi, man. I'll just work from space.
Hey, listen, they probably. Oh, I don't know. I don't know what they have, Mike. I don't know what they have. I just know. Oh, time changes. That's true. Duh. See, we need to listen. I am not going to space. Leon says we're going to chip in for you, Mike. Thank you, big bro. Chip in. Let's put up a GoFundMe for you.
Dora said, let's feed and take care of humanity on Earth first. That would be nice. That would be nice. Dora.
Let's bring the sensibleness back to the topic. So speaking of which, let's take a quick break. You know, that was funny to talk about, but let's take a quick break. When we come back, it's time to clap back at Marjorie Taylor Greene, y'all. Let's just get a snack because we're going to be talking about it.
Hey, what's up, everybody? It's your man, the Big O. Want to take a moment here, first of all, to say thank you for your support of Converge Media. We definitely wouldn't be here without you. Secondly, I want to thank everybody who is a supporter of Converge Media on Patreon. We definitely appreciate your support. And for those of you might not know, I'll let you know, we operate 100% off of donations. Some donations big, most donations small, but we love all donations all the same. If you haven't done so yet, I want to encourage you to go on our website to whereweconverge.com/donate and subscribe. You click on the Patreon link and you can subscribe for as little as $5 a month. There's higher tiers beyond that as well. And just know that your subscription literally keeps us on the air. Once again, I want to thank you for all your support.
All right, y'all. We are back to Clapback Culture. Thank you for supporting Converge Media. Make sure you guys check out that link, whereweconverge.com/donate and hook us up. You know, chip in a little for Mike Davis to go to the moon, but definitely support whereweconverge.com/donate to keep us on air so we can talk about everything. So look, back to more important things, as Dora said. Man, it was a crazy day at the House of Representatives, really the last 2 days. And I've been tracking and following this story, really not the last couple of weeks. You know, this has been in headlines, and we decided not to talk about it to kind of see where everything kind of laid out. But boy, oh boy, I was getting text messages today talking about, I want to cuss that, boop, 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 and like, ooh, people taking a fired stance. So I had a lot of people wanting me to clap back at this. My eyes were glued, Mike Davis, to the TV to see the vote. So let me get some context. We're going to roll a quick video on what happened. Well, actually, hold on, Nikki. Don't play the video yet. I want to give quick context, you guys, to those who probably were busy and not following this story. But Marjorie Taylor Greene is the representative for Georgia. She's a freshman congresswoman, and she is basically facing backlash over her baseless conspiracy theories, just crazy things that she said online. that include, but not limited to, liking a comment that it'd be quicker to put a bullet to the head to get rid of House Speaker Nancy Pelosi. In 2018, she responded to a post on social media about hanging President Obama and saying that the stage is being set amongst violent attacks against other Democrat leaders. She also made a suggestion that the mass shooting at Parkland was a false flag event, even though 17 innocent people lost their lives and 14 people were wounded. There's also a video that came out, Mike, of her attacking one of the survivors. I mean, she's from crazy town. So amongst all of the racist things and anti-Semitic comments that she has made in her past, and really her not so distant past, Mike Davis, congressional leaders are like, look, she got to be out, and we are calling a resolution to strip her of her committees. So let's play a clip of her right now. We'll come back.
Tonight, House Democrats taking an unprecedented step, voting to strip freshman Congresswoman Marjorie Taylor Greene, a member of the opposing party, of her committee assignments after she embraced false QAnon conspiracy theories and was accused of promoting violence against Democrats. House Speaker Nancy Pelosi blasting Republicans for not taking action themselves.
I remain profoundly concerned about House Republicans' leadership acceptance of extreme conspiracy theorists.
Greene today saying she reposted QAnon conspiracy theories before she was elected, now saying it is misinformation she no longer believes.
I was allowed to believe things that weren't true, and I would ask questions about them and talk about them. And that is absolutely what I regret.
Greene, who has questioned whether 9/11 was real.
It's odd, there's never any evidence shown for a plane in the Pentagon.
Saying today,
I also want to tell you 9/11 absolutely happened. I do not believe that it's fake.
And after doubting the veracity of school shootings and taunting Parkland survivor David Hogg.
School shootings are absolutely real. One of my schoolmates brought guns to school and took our entire school hostage. And that happened right down the hall from my classroom. I know the fear that David Hogg had that day.
Reaction tonight in her Georgia district.
I'm for her 100%.
I think she's a loony. I do.
Meanwhile, Democrats are demanding former President Trump testify at his impeachment trial. His lawyer telling us he won't, calling the request a publicity stunt.
Thanks for watching our YouTube channel. Follow today's top stories and breaking news by downloading.
Wow. That was a lot.
She is from crazy town. I mean, I even forgot to mention that she thought 9/11 was fake and that there was actually no plane that crashed into the Pentagon. Mike, what do you think about all this?
Wow. I think, but the one thing that really jumps out at me though is her phrasing and some of that. Mm-hmm. I was allowed to believe. What does that even mean? Who allowed you to believe that? Like, you, not only did you believe it, you said it, you posted it. Like, this is you. Mm-hmm. Don't distance yourself from your own individual beliefs while wearing a free speech mask. And look, all speech comes with consequences. You can say what you want, absolutely, but there are consequences to your actions. And when we're talking about her social media stuff that resurfaced, we're talking about 2018. We're not talking about when she was some child or, when she was in high school. No, you were an adult. And it's just crazy how this QAnon is really just rotting people's brains. Like, people really believe that stuff. And here's a lady that really believed it. But even outside of all of that, I listened to this, like the full clip. She never apologized. There was no apology. Like, she said the things that she believes now or whatever. She never even apologized.
Well, where I kind of am really upset. I'm really upset at the Republican Party for not holding her accountable for this, right? And in the hearing today, all you heard about was, this is a part of cancel culture. This is a part of cancel culture. No, it's not. No one's here to cancel Marjorie Taylor Greene just to cancel her. This is not an attack on the Republican Party. This is stopping domestic terrorism, and it's comments and rhetoric like this that we hear from Marjorie Taylor Greene, people like her, people that follow her, that support her, and her encouraging, supporting, and lifting up rhetoric like this, believing in rhetoric like this, and again, giving a platform to it and holding her accountable for those actions. And so, to call this like, oh, this is a cancel culture, it's absolutely not. And shame on you, Republican Party, for not holding your own people accountable and having the Democrats do your dirty work. And so this was a time, Mike, where they had to go on record to vote. And so these guys who are running for re-election, they will be held accountable, because this vote is going to be shown that they supported somebody who is a QAnon conspiracy theorist. This is somebody who not even a month ago supported an attack on the U.S. Capitol, and to her peers, to calling for the death to House Speaker Nancy Pelosi. We're talking about violence that we've never seen so plain as day. And so we gotta call this out. We need to be aggressive about it, and we cannot back down from comments like this. And so today was something that we've rarely seen, someone being stripped away from their committees. And little context for folks that are watching, and I know a lot of people. She was Republicans appointed Greene to the House Education and Labor Committee, which has jurisdiction over school security, you guys. And so you can't have her having oversight over education, House Education, that has oversight over school security, and she doesn't believe in school shootings and calling
which
them,
is crazy, because there was one at her school when she was a student,
which is even more crazy. Something is seriously wrong with her. She also made a comment in her speech, and then we'll move on from Looney Bin, but she made a comment about oh no, Jules, don't lose your thought. She made a comment. She made so many baseless, crazy comments, but just I don't know. I lost what I was gonna say. But
I do think that it's important for us, and we talked a little bit about this off air, but I'll definitely present this to the audience here. I think it will be good for us to do a dive into some of this QAnon stuff, just to really break it down for people, because I mean, on the peripheries, what we hear is crazy, but I mean, the rabbit hole goes so deep in what these people actually believe. And these aren't just random people. Like these are lawmakers, these congresswomen, congressmen. These are people that are running our country, and they really, really believe these things. So I think it's important for us to really inform the audience on what we're actually up against, because it's scary. Like, yes, it's crazy. We can laugh, but it's scary what people are willing to believe.
Oh, absolutely. And I mean, and she talked, and again, you mentioned this earlier. There's no apology. There's no accountability. No. There's no condemning. There's no clear, concise wording, video, statement, rhetoric that says, I denounce QAnon. I denounce.
And I honestly think that part of the reason why she won't do that is what somebody just said this in the comments. That's how she rolls to office. She knows who her constituency is. She knows the people that follow her, what they believe. So she's right in line with it. And man, those people, they're out here and they're not going anywhere.
Yes, it is. Yes, it is. I watched a QAnon documentary, just a quick one on Vice, and it estimated that 30 million people believe in that conspiracy theory. So again, I'm with you on having a longer conversation about that, and really the damage that it's doing to a lot of families, to people. It's a lot of misinformation going out, really disinformation, because it's just lies and things to go viral. I mean, people even accuse Marjorie Taylor Greene of being saying all of this stuff to become famous and to go viral. And so when we think about this whole idea of cancel culture, it's people who like clout chasers that we need to cancel culture on. Like, you cannot come into the house and have this type of rhetoric and have political oversight and equity over things that are real. These are real events. You're sitting in the room with people who survived 9/11, who had to hide and get their staff out of the U.S. Capitol and go sit on First Street because they could see the plane crash to the Pentagon. So when you make these kind of comments like that, it doesn't just fall back. You don't get to just dance your way up out of that and say, this is not what I believe anymore. It's exactly what you believed. And I don't see your ideology changing that severely, taking a whole 180-degree turn in less than 3 years. So I'm glad to see she's stripped from her committees.
Me too.
They play a vital role as a congresswoman, but at the same time, she still will be able to make amendments on the floor. She'll still be able to vote. So she's not out,
No,
and so
because cancel culture isn't real. If cancel culture was actually real, she wouldn't be there. Cancel culture was real, she wouldn't be able to make those openly racist statements on public platforms the way she did and still become a congresswoman. Cancel culture isn't real. It's just what people like her use to defend themselves when they say crazy things. But
absolutely, and people call them out and hold them accountable.
Exactly. Yeah, accountability. Holding you accountable for your words, that's not canceling you.
Listen, I did a lot of deep diving on her. She even supported a piece of legislation that's so transphobic, that it's just, there's just so many things about her that I dislike. I really dislike her ideology. Y'all go brush up on her, go to the website, go to her website, go follow her on Twitter, or don't even follow her. Don't give her a follow. Just go find her. She's on there. I mean, she's just as bad as Donald Trump with those Twitter fingers. So she's not going anywhere fast. And we will be
real fast though, Julia. Before we move on, did you hear that at the very, very end of that clip? They mentioned that Trump isn't going to testify at his impeachment hearing. Did you catch that?
Absolutely.
Does he even have representation? I feel like I read that his lawyers don't want to represent
him. His lawyers dipped out right before. So can I just say for the record that I would love to be a fly on the wall to watch Donald Trump be crossed to testify and to be cross-examined. Oh my goodness, they would light him up. I'd be sitting there like,
for real. Now that's must-see TV, man. I know he likes reality TV. If he needs another show.
I'm actually surprised. I would be surprised if he did not consider it. But good for him. Not good for the American people. Good for him. Good legal decision not to testify, because Donald Trump has the craziest mouth. He would not win in that battle. So good thing he didn't step into that ring.
On an unrelated topic, do you think that we will have another non-politician president? Like, I seen somebody in the comments said that they hope Bezos doesn't run. Like, do you think that it will be possible for America to take us down this path again? Or you think that that's over?
I don't even want. Can we look, guys? Listen, I don't even want to play the what ifs and the what whys and coulda, woulda, shoulda. I want to play let's end COVID and let's get this administration off. It's only been 16 days, Mike Davis. I want to snuggle up with Joe Biden's administration right now and just live in that way. I don't even want to think about what's going to happen after 4 years. I just want to enjoy this moment right now and focus on that. So let's stick with reality, people. Let's not travel down that rabbit hole just yet. Jeff Bezos, just worry about something else. Don't even put. We had Kanye West run. I don't know, bro. Listen, it could be anything. But look, let's take a quick break. We'll come right back. And when we come back, we definitely need to talk about teachers being on the front line and not having access to the vaccine. So we'll be back.
We're right here at East Precinct. It doesn't get any closer than this right now.
Converge Media produces culturally relevant content for Black and urban audiences. Our coverage is raw, transparent, and objective, praised by community leaders, government officials, and residents.
As a small independent media company, we rely on the financial support of individuals and business members to stay on the front lines of the news that's important to you.
What's up? What's up? We are back. And hey, Nikki, just drop in the chat. Can people purchase these hoodies on the website? Because if so, this is a
man, they look good, don't they?
They look good. So if you want to support, pull up and grab some merchandise, man. Get some merch from Converge and walk around and let people know you're one of the cool kids. Amen. As he sips, I don't have a mug yet, Mike.
Oh, you got to get you a mug. You got to get you a mug,
man. Y'all give me a mug. Okay, so yeah, if you guys want to support, go to whereweconverge.com/shop. Pull up and get some merch. I'm gonna go buy my own cup because I support my independent media company.
There you go.
Period. Pooh. So look, Mike Davis, what is going on with these teachers and the CDC saying that teachers shouldn't be, they don't need to be vaccinated before they go back to school? That's absolute crap, or is that real? What's going on?
There's a lot. And we have the clip. We'll play the clip. But just to give a little bit of context before we dive in, so we have the teachers and the teachers unions who are saying that teachers don't feel safe returning to classrooms. If you've been on social media in the last few months, we've seen teachers who are literally dying, and not even like necessarily old teachers, but all around the country. Teachers are seeing their peers die being in classrooms. Now you got the CDC who has stepped out and said that vaccinating teachers is not a prerequisite to safely opening schools. And we have teachers in a lot of cities like Seattle. If you look in marginalized communities where schools are already underserved, schools are already underfunded, they already have classroom sizes that they can't safely social distance in. The teachers are asking, how can we do this safely? And it seems like there's no clear answer. They've just decided that this is what we're going to do. So I want to talk about this a little deeper. I would love to have some audience interaction. But first, Nikki, can we please run the clip?
Schools can safely open without vaccinating teachers. That's the latest from the CDC, and Governor Jay Inslee also sending a letter to the head of the state teachers union saying he believes in-person learning can be done safely with the right protocols in place. King 5's Amy Moreno live in Seattle with both sides of this really hot debate. Amy, what are teachers saying right now?
Good morning, Jake. Yeah, the teachers union is saying they would like every teacher to get the vaccine before they return here to these classrooms. But in Oregon, they're prioritizing teachers above some seniors to try and make that happen. The Washington Education Association says they're not asking for educators to be put ahead of first responders or seniors, but they feel that teachers should feel safe before they go back to the classroom. Governor Jay Inslee recently praised some Pierce County schools for their handling of in-person learning. And in a letter to the WEA, he said that data shows low transmission rates with in-person learning. Also in that letter, he said it's important to make decisions about what we know now and not back then, speaking about when they first went to remote learning last year.
Man, big topic. Big topic. I know you got, what's going on in Seattle?
They're not trying to put the teachers on the tier that's currently getting vaccinated. They want the teachers to be on the next tier. I coach high school sports in Seattle. I talk to these kids, man, and I went to high school in Seattle. I know what this looks like. I know what it's like to be in a classroom where you literally have more kids than you have chairs for people to sit in. That's what we're facing right now. So there's no way that you can bring kids back into school with any level of social distancing, not in our public schools as it stands. So what the teachers are saying through the teachers unions is it's not safe. Give us the vaccination and we can return. I really don't understand what Biden is doing here. And I know he has $170 billion that's supposed to go to the safe reopening of schools. But right now, that's tied up in Congress. I really don't understand why we will make the move to reopen schools before those funds get released so that we could actually have some resources to make the reopen safe. Also, it's really interesting seeing the debate play out where you have like big labor saying, yo, we need kids back in classrooms because we need parents to be able to come back to work. And then on the other side, you have science. And it's so I'm looking at Joe Biden and I'm just asking like, yo, are we going to follow science or are we going to follow big labor? We saw the types of decisions that Trump made, and you're here now and you're trying to repeal so much that he's done. But right here, it just feels like this administration is dropping the ball. Don't put the cart before the horse. Let the funds be released and then try to reopen safely.
Man, I couldn't agree with you more. I think, sending kids, and we just recently had a hearing about this about 2 weeks ago here in Washington, D.C. about sending students back to D.C. public schools. And they are opening seats they opened 15,000 seats for in-person learning for students to go back this week. And so there was pushback from the DC Council to say it is not time, and the data does not support that. The science just does not support that. And so really, we have to focus on the science. And what we do know is that children infected with the coronavirus are more likely to be asymptomatic, which makes them or have mild symptoms, which makes them super spreaders. So this is not safe. It is not time. And, what we do know that works is wearing a mask and social distancing, all of which are very hard for kids to do. And, I talked to my niece, she's 8. And I asked her, what did she feel about going back to in-person learning? And she said, I can't wear my mask for 6 hours a day, so I'm not going to go back. And I work in healthcare as well, and I have to wear my mask all day long. And I'm used to it now, but in the beginning, it was very difficult to feel comfortable having it on my face. And then now, we're even talking about wearing a double mask. So I think there's just too many things to consider that it's just not time to go back. But on the other side, and the other argument is that, we're talking about kids who are absolutely sliding in their education right now, and who are not excelling in distant learning. And what do you do? What do you do when you have a parent who can't help their kid? What do you do when these kids just will not log on Zoom anymore, or having difficulties doing all of their work on the computer? And so I think we need to figure out some alternatives to the classroom, having, some type of smaller classroom setting for students who do feel comfortable going back, or teachers who do feel comfortable going back. And again, can you mandate having a teacher getting the vaccine? No. So I also don't want to enforce that people have to get the vaccine to go back. And, teachers are already underpaid and, underappreciated, and to send them back out there on the front lines with not even having the opportunity to get the vaccine, do they feel like they want to get it, is absolutely not acceptable. And so
they need the opportunity. And what really worries me is that, when you look at this, and this, I know that clip was local, but this is a national story, and there's teachers unions all over the country. We can't create a situation where the teachers strike right now. That's really what it boils down to. Like, you can't push the teachers to the point where they don't want to come to work, because we need the teachers. The teachers are more than just essential workers. The teachers are vital to our community. Like, this is who's teaching our children. This is who's interacting with our children every day. If our issue is that children are not learning at home during virtual learning, what's going to happen if they come back to school with teachers that don't want to be there? Like, that's not going to be a good learning environment either. So it's in our best interest to work with the teachers. And I think it hits me a little harder here in Seattle when the Seattle Times broke a story about the Overlake Medical Center, and they were letting their donors, whoever was a donor at levels of $10,000 or more, got to jump the line for the vaccine. And you hear stories around the nation of where rich people get to just jump the line to get this vaccine. We can't have situations where people are jumping the line and we're not going to vaccinate our teachers and then force them to go back to work. You can't have a federal organization like the CDC making these types of statements that affect things on the local level when they don't even understand. I mean, I'm looking at the marginalized communities. I mean, this is a really big equity piece. Part of coming back to school safely is upgrades to the HVAC systems.
Right.
What about the schools that can't afford the upgrades to the HVAC systems? Those are the same schools that got kids packed in classrooms like sardines. So there's a safe way to do this. And I just hope that, you know, we can listen to the science. I mean, that's the platform that Joe Biden ran on. I mean, a lot of us, that's what got Inslee his votes as well here in the state of Washington, was the willingness to let science dictate how we proceed. So I just hope that our politicians can actually stick to that.
And we have to really put the human back in this humanity effort, right? This is a human issue. And so you're talking about not only just teachers going back, right? But you're talking about custodians, you're talking about the administrative staff, you're talking about parents dropping their kids off. You're talking about the nurse that works in the nurse's office. You're talking about a lot of people that are just working in the school building and making that operation run. The lady in the cafeteria, what are the male in the cafeteria? Sorry, I don't want to assign gender roles and be like that, but there's so many other things to think about. And here in DC, they are offering the vaccine to teachers who want to go back, and they're still offering remote learning as well as in-person classrooms. And so I'll be interested to see what the data reports following the return, students returning to in-person learning, because I do feel that some students do need to go back to in-person learning and want to go back to in-person learning. But there is there's a lot higher chance that they will be infected with COVID, right? And that just is what it is. And then the spread continues. And so I'm looking forward to us rolling back some of these things that we really pushed Donald Trump on, and saying that he opened up the country a little too soon. We keep opening and closing. And so I'm looking forward to when the vaccine comes out in full mass, that there's an operation to say, look, we're going to close everything down. We're going to have the grocery stores open and the vaccine shop open. If you want to go get it, you can go get in line and get that. Then you can get your groceries, and then you're going to go home, and we're going to sit in our house for 4 weeks and just let herd immunity kick in. And then we're going to open the doors back up. They should take my plan, Mike Davis.
That's a great plan. And I know we have to move on, but one last point I wanted to make, for the South Seattle Emerald. I covered this event last week, Youth Shall Lead, and it was just, a panel of youth talking about education for, students of color. And one thing that one of those kids pointed out was that there's a lot of elementary schools that don't even have school nurses because they can't afford them. So it's like we're in a place right now where we want kids to come back to school, and we have a global pandemic going on, but some of our schools can't even afford to have a school nurse. Like we need funding before reopen, and I'll leave it right there.
One of my my council member that I support, he really asked some tough questions to our school chancellor of DC Public Schools, and he made him go on the science and really push hard at things like that, and a lot of the disparities that you find in the school system as it relates to COVID and just as it relates to operations. So I'm with you. There's already a lack of funding in a lot of these schools that have disparities, or in communities that have disparities, or in healthcare and access and school supplies and everything. So what are we doing? If we don't have funds to make sure that students have books, school supplies, transportation to get to school, right? After school programs to come home, to come home from school, there's just so many other items that you have to think about when you're sending a kid back to school. Kids here take the Metro bus. There's not a lot of school buses here. So little kids, high school kids, middle school kids, they take the Metro. They get on public transportation, and they have a DC card that they use to get on the bus for free. And so now you're adding them to the public metro system, right? And so that causes them more exposure. Then they get into and then they have to drop off their little brother and sister off to their elementary school and then go to their middle school or high school. And so we're talking about a lot more interaction, a lot more, possible ways to be contaminated. And we're also talking about kids. Kids already don't wash their hands as much, right? So it's a lot of teaching that's going to have to be done on top of the fact that, who's going to be sanitizing and cleaning after classrooms? Like, is that on the job of the teachers? Is there going to be a raise for these teachers, custodians, cafeteria workers, nurses, principals who have to go and do this? There should be. We gave a higher wage to nurses who are working on the front lines. We absolutely should give it to all of our essential workers, people who are working in grocery stores, people who are working in all avenues of healthcare, okay, who got to keep going to work every day, okay, who don't get to stay home no matter what, who have to interact, okay? You see that? People like me who never got to stop working during the pandemic, who actually caught COVID because I had to work, who's 80% of our office caught COVID because everyone had to continue to go to work because we had actual patients on the line. And so when you're talking about that, I think there just needs to be a full strategy, a rollout plan, and we need to really thank these essential workers and also, appreciate and thank the people who are working from home too, because they are doing their part, right? And so that $1,400 stimulus couldn't come sooner. Might give us don't clap.
Right. I'm just saying, look, man, that's it right there.
Yeah, man.
Everything that needs to be said. That's facts, 100%.
Yeah. So I think it's bigger than just the lack or the option not to get the vaccine, right? They should absolutely be able to have access to that vaccine should they want it. I hope that they would choose it to be safe. I'm like I said, I'm considering getting the vaccine to be safe. I don't want to get COVID.
Whoa.
I know I'm back and forth. I'm back to it.
What changed your mind? When did this happen? You wasn't going to tell us?
I told you guys. Okay, well, I'll tell you guys. I'm absolutely gonna get the vaccine, you guys. I'm just nervous. But I don't want to be nervous because I'm not a QAnon follower. Okay, I'm not a conspiracy theorist. I get vaccines, and it's gonna be fine. I can get the vaccine, and I guarantee you, I will not turn into a zombie. So I want to be a patriot and support my country and stop the spread of coronavirus and help herd immunity happen and help people like Mike Davis who don't want to get it so we can end this pandemic once and for all, starting with me.
There we go. We need all of y'all to go get vaccinated. So that
I encourage folks to get vaccinated when it's their time to go. But in the meantime, wear your mask, wash your hands, sanitize surfaces, and social distance. It's Super Bowl weekend, man. Don't have a Super Bowl party. Please don't have a Super Bowl party.
Please don't. We're gonna see y'all on Instagram. Don't do it. Don't do it.
Don't do it. Well, look, it's Black History Month, and we want to honor some of our ancestors that left a legacy and paid tribute and honor to them. So before we get out of here, we have a quick clip, of the mother of the civil rights movement, Rosa Parks.
Today we celebrate Rosa Parks' birthday.
Yes, it is. The civil rights activist refused to surrender her seat to a white passenger on a segregated bus in Montgomery, Alabama, sparking the Montgomery bus boycott and launching nationwide efforts to end racial segregation of public facilities. What many people don't know is Parks was actually the second person jailed for refusing to give up her seat. The first was 15-year-old Claudette Colvin, 9 months earlier. A happy birthday, though, to Rosa Parks. She was born Rosa Louise McCauley on February 4th of 1913, and her memory will always live on.
Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. I always love Rosa Parks as the figure, the mother of the civil rights movement. We know she wasn't the first person or the only person jailed for or arrested for taking a seat at the front of the bus, but she was the best person, as they said, to take that position. So, definitely great.
Happy birthday to Rosa Parks. And y'all, please read up just a little bit too, because it wasn't random that Rosa Parks' arrest blew up like that, she was actually already an activist. She was already very involved in the movement. Her husband was in the NAACP. She had already done some things. Shout out to her too. She had her high school diploma at a time when only 7% of Black folks had one, and she was a woman. Like, yo, she was already an amazing woman before that situation. So shout out to her. And if you want to hear just a little bit more, you know, I did a I did a town hall podcast with an author, C. Thomas Holt, who had wrote a book about the civil rights movement. And we kind of touched on some of the stuff, like with some of the sit-ins on buses and what led to that. And even Rosa Parks, and just that day, enough was enough. Like, she was literally just having a day where she didn't want to stand up on that bus that day. So, you know, it's it's crazy.
It's sad. You know, listen, you guys, like Mike Davis said earlier, brush up on some of the African-American history, you know, share some with your kids, you know, buy a book on Amazon and, you know, do a little in-home learning session with your kids on some, you know, and not just your traditional Martin Luther King, Rosa Parks, you know, dig into some leaders you don't know about, so you can learn something, they can learn something, you know. So I love February. It's a short month, but it's a good time to reflect and share this long legacy with our friends and family. Just have, you know, more conversations and celebration about it. So it's a month to celebrate with everybody, to talk about all, you know, Black Americans specifically, and we want to celebrate with all Americans. So I'm excited about that. But that's our show, you guys. I mean, we're going to come back. We have a lot of things that we went over today. You know, make sure you check out Clapback if you missed it. Last week's episode, the episodes before, it's all held on the website and the YouTube channel. So if you missed anything or want to go back over anything, please do that. Mike Davis, where can they find you if they want to talk to you after the show?
Well, you can find me at the South Seattle Emerald, SouthSeattleEmerald.com. Please make sure you go there, man. We got a lot of good stories. South Seattle Emerald is also doing a lot of great coverage for Black History Month. If you want to reach out to me directly, you can find me on Twitter at RealMDavis.
Cool. And you guys know where you can find me on Instagram and Twitter at Treasure of JULES. You know where to find me. This has been an episode of the Clapback Culture right here on Converge Media. Make sure you go support Converge, and we'll be back next Thursday. We love y'all. Peace.